Some eyebrows may have been raised when 33-year-old Gary Oakland was tapped to lead BECU in 1986. But Mary Oakland was not surprised at all. She predicted his rise years before, when her husband became director of finance at the credit union. "You know," she said, "you're going to be CEO there someday." Gary himself was surprised, but Mary recognized in her husband qualities that would make him one of the most influential leaders of the credit union movement: humility, authenticity, and vision. Born in 1952, Gary Oakland was raised in Ellensburg, Washington, a small college and rodeo town. His father, Erling, started his career as a teacher and later became an administrator. His mother, May, worked as a secretary in the school system. Both Erling and May belonged to the local credit union for educators. Older sisters, Sandy and Connie, were like second mothers to Gary, guiding and protecting their much younger brother. At Interlake High School, Gary played sports and held leadership roles in student government. Between his family and his town, Gary was nurtured by a community that supported and protected him. It was a culture he would later replicate at BECU. Gary studied economics at Washington State University, spending a formative semester studying comparative economic systems at the University of Aarhus in Denmark. At a friend's wedding the day after his return from Europe, Gary met his future wife. He was surprised to be challenged by the maid of honor. "I bet you don't know who I am," she said. Mary Horay and Gary Oakland grew up down the street from each other, but their paths seldom crossed. They married 3 years later. Gary and Mary adopted 2 children, Emily and Eric, who are now 31 and 28 years old. Gary's post-college job hunt began during a deep regional recession. He was interested in banking, but no banks were hiring. Hearing from his mom about an opening for a teller at Seattle Telco Credit Union, Gary applied. The job at Seattle Telco may have been a choice prompted by necessity, but the student of economics discovered he liked being part of a business centered on service to the community. Gary joined BECU as Director of Finance in 1980, as the credit union struggled to be of service to a membership diminished by layoffs at Boeing. Fortunately, the environment for credit unions was improving as Congress began to permit direct competition with banks. BECU membership grew as the credit union offered new services, including checking accounts, ATM cards, IRAs, CDs, credit cards, home equity loans, and financial counseling. As he had at Seattle Telco, Gary found a supportive mentor at BECU. Bud Jewell offered his new director opportunities to try different roles in the credit union, allowing Gary to understand the needs of members and to imagine how he might help. Gary became CEO in 1986, 1 year after the 50th anniversary of the credit union. It was a brilliant act of trust in a young servant leader. Under his watch, BECU grew to become the 4th largest credit union in the country, with a membership of 700,000 and $10 billion in assets. But growth for growth's sake was never the point. "It's all about the member," Gary said, setting a tone that permanently defined the culture at BECU. Guided by a member-first philosophy, Gary identified innovative ways to support members during times of crisis, including a low-cost loan for striking Boeing workers and victims of natural disasters. Understanding the importance of financial literacy, he created a financial counseling department with programs designed to help members and their families take control of their finances to achieve their goals. Mindful of the benefits of his own education, Gary created the BECU Foundation to recognize and support student members. Since 1995, BECU has awarded more than $3.4 million in scholarships to 1,251 student members. One day at a foundation luncheon, Gary met a Boeing employee who thanked him for facilitating a loan for an adoption years before. As an adoptive parent himself, Gary had been happy to hear BECU had helped. He was overjoyed to learn that the employee's child was a new recipient of a foundation scholarship. Believing that financial literacy should begin early, Gary raised the first $500,000 to fund the PBS syndicated show Biz Kids. Other credit unions followed his example, contributing $2.6 million to support the Emmy award-winning program. Gary expanded BECU's commitment to improving the financial lives of members to other cooperatives. He helped establish 2 low-income designated credit unions and located funds to support 24 others. He also created a credit union service organization that provides mortgage solutions to 600 credit unions. In recognition of his generosity and selflessness as a credit union leader, Gary was awarded the Herb Wegner Award for Lifetime Achievement in 2014. He is also the 2011 recipient of the NWCUA's Mark of Excellence, that association's highest honor. Having instituted a spirit of generosity, inclusion, and recognition at BECU, Gary retired in 2012. He and Mary now split their time between Palm Desert, California, and Edmonds, Washington, where they can be close to their children and enjoy time with their 5-year-old grandson, Caden. For growing BECU into one of America's largest credit unions while demonstrating the deepest commitment to the principle of people helping people. For leading from a place of humility, fairness, and compassion. For inspiring others to grow, think differently, and achieve their own goals. We honor Gary Oakland tonight with induction into the Cooperative Hall of Fame.